Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay with us, because what you're about to discover could completely change the way you look at old coins forever. Picture this for a moment. A small, humble coin. Something most people would ignore. Something that might sit forgotten in a drawer, a toolbox, or even buried in loose change at the bottom of a pocket. Now imagine that same coin turning out to be worth an unbelievable fortune. Not thousands. Not even hundreds of thousands. We are talking about a life-changing, jaw-dropping value that could rewrite someone's entire future overnight. Today, we are talking about a coin that fits exactly into that category. The South Africa 2-cent coin from 1972. At first glance, it looks simple. Modest design, common metal, nothing flashy. But hidden within certain rare variations and unique historical factors lies a story that has captured the attention of collectors across the world. Back in 1972, South Africa was producing coins as part of its standard currency system. The 2-cent coin was never meant to be special. It was a practical piece of everyday money, used in markets, shops, and daily transactions. Millions were minted, and most of them circulated heavily. They passed through countless hands, experiencing wear and tear like any ordinary coin. But here's where things get interesting. Not all coins are created equal. Even within the same year and denomination, small differences can make a massive impact. Minting errors, limited production runs, unusual metal compositions, and even tiny design variations can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary rarity. Collectors, especially experienced ones, understand this better than anyone. They don't just look at a coin, they study it. They examine its texture, its shine, its edges, and its smallest details. And when it comes to the 1972 South Africa 2-cent coin, there are certain versions that stand out far above the rest. One of the key factors that drives value is condition. Coins that were never circulated, or barely used, can command significantly higher prices. These are often referred to as mint condition coins. They retain their original luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces. Finding a coin from 1972 in such condition is already rare. But rarity doesn't stop there. There are whispers in the collecting world about specific batches of these coins that were struck under unusual circumstances. Some may have slight misalignments. Others could have differences in lettering or spacing. These tiny imperfections, invisible to the untrained eye, can transform a coin into something highly desirable. Now imagine being someone who unknowingly owns one of these rare variations. Maybe it came from a relative. Maybe it's been sitting in a jar for decades. Maybe it was part of a forgotten collection. And then one day, curiosity strikes. You take a closer look. You compare it with known examples. And suddenly, you realize you might be holding something incredibly valuable. This is exactly what fuels the passion of coin collectors, especially among seasoned individuals who appreciate history, detail, and the thrill of discovery. It's not just about money, it's about the hunt. The idea that something small and overlooked could hold immense significance. The 1972 South Africa 2-cent coin also carries historical weight. It represents a specific time in South Africa's economic and political landscape. Coins are more than currency. They are artifacts. They tell stories about the era in which they were created. And for many collectors, that historical connection adds another layer of appeal. Now let's talk about demand. The global coin market has grown rapidly over the years. Serious collectors are always searching for rare pieces to complete their collections. And when a coin gains attention, especially one with unique characteristics, its demand can rise sharply. As demand increases and supply remains limited, prices can climb to astonishing levels. Auctions, private sales, and collector networks all play a role in determining how much someone is willing to pay for a rare find. And here's the part that keeps people watching, searching, and hoping. Stories have emerged of coins once considered worthless suddenly being re-evaluated and sold for extraordinary amounts. These stories spread quickly, inspiring others to check their own collections. Could they be next? Could they be holding a hidden treasure without even realizing it? This is why coins like the South Africa 2-cent 1972 continue to attract attention. They represent possibility. They represent the idea that value isn't always obvious at first glance. For older men, especially those who have spent years collecting, saving, or simply holding onto items from the past, this idea is particularly powerful. It connects with experience, with patience, with the understanding that time can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. So what should you look for if you have one of these coins? Start with the basics. Examine the condition. Is it clean, detailed, and well preserved? Look closely at the design. Pay attention to any unusual features. Compare it with known examples if possible. Even small differences can matter. And most importantly, don't rush. True value often comes from careful evaluation. Serious collectors take their time. They verify authenticity. They consult experts. Because when a coin has the potential to be rare, every detail counts. Now, let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture. How many coins have passed through your hands over the years? How many are sitting in drawers, boxes, or forgotten containers? It's easy to overlook them. Easy to assume they're just small change. But as we've seen, that assumption can sometimes be wrong. That's what makes stories like this so compelling. They challenge what we think we know. They remind us that value can hide in unexpected places. And they encourage us to take a second look at the things we might otherwise ignore. The South Africa 2-cent coin from 1972 is a perfect example of this idea. A simple coin with a potentially extraordinary story. A piece of everyday history that, under the right circumstances, could become something truly remarkable. And now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. In the world of rare coin speculation and collector excitement, there are claims, bold, astonishing claims, that certain versions of this very coin have reached a staggering value. A value so high, it almost sounds unbelievable. $58 million. Yes, you heard that right. $58 million. Whether driven by extreme rarity, unique characteristics, or intense collector demand, this figure has captured attention and sparked curiosity around the globe. So the next time you come across an old coin, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Because hidden within something small could be a story, and a value, that's far greater than you ever imagined. And if you want to keep discovering stories like this, make sure you stay connected and keep watching. You never know what treasure might come next.
Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on these incredible stories from the world of rare coins and treasures. You won't want to miss what's coming at the end of this video. It's going to blow your mind. Now, let me take you back to a moment in time that many collectors dream about, but few ever experience firsthand. It's the year 2010, and we're in South Africa, a land known for its breathtaking landscapes, rich history, and for coin enthusiasts, some of the most fascinating pieces ever minted. Among these, there's one coin that quietly began to carve its legend. A coin that, at first glance, seems ordinary, but in reality, holds a secret value so extraordinary it's almost unbelievable. This coin is the 2010 South African 5-rand coin. To the casual observer, it's a simple piece of currency, circulating widely, exchanged for groceries, meals, or just tucked away in a pocket. But collectors and experts know something others might overlook. There's an almost invisible detail that makes this coin rare, something only those with a trained eye and a love for history can truly appreciate. Think about the decades that have passed, the hands this coin has passed through, and the world it has witnessed. From the bustling streets of Johannesburg to quiet rural towns, this little piece of metal has seen more stories than most of us ever will. And now, decades later, it's caught the attention of some of the most meticulous collectors on the planet. That what makes a coin valuable? Sure, rarity matters, but it's more than that. It's history, craftsmanship, condition, and sometimes the sheer luck of surviving untouched through years of circulation. And that's exactly what makes this 2010 South African 5-rand coin so fascinating. When it was minted, it wasn't intended to become a legend. It was simply currency. But as the years passed, collectors began noticing subtle differences in certain batches of these coins, variations in minting, slight imperfections, or limited production numbers that suddenly made them sought after for a coin to reach the level of a collector's dream. It must have a story. And this coin has a story intertwined with the pride and culture of South Africa itself. From its elegant design to the careful craftsmanship that went into producing each one, the 5 Rand coin embodies a slice of history, a piece of a nation's journey, and a tangible connection to a time not so long ago. Imagine holding it in your hand. Feel the weight, the texture, the way the light catches its edges. For those who have collected coins for years, that feeling is unmatched. It's more than money. It's history. It's art. It's a conversation starter that can turn any ordinary day into a moment of discovery. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Not all 2010 South African 5 Rand coins are created equal. Some were minted in limited quantities. Others have survived in mint condition, untouched, uncirculated, pristine. It's these rare versions that have started to draw incredible attention from collectors around the globe. A single coin in near-perfect condition can be worth far more than its face value, far more than anyone could imagine when it first left the mint. That over the years, the allure of rare coins has grown tremendously. People who once collected as a hobby now see them as investments, a way to own a piece of tangible history that may appreciate in value. And the 2010 South African 5 Rand coin has become one of those treasures that collectors dream of finding in their search for the extraordinary. It's a coin that combines beauty, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. That collectors are not just looking at the coin. They're studying it, analyzing it, researching its origins, and understanding the story behind each tiny detail. They examine the mint marks, the luster, even microscopic imperfections that make each coin unique. It's a level of dedication that turns coin collecting into a lifelong passion. And for this particular coin, that passion has only intensified over time. The beauty of coins like this lies in their dual nature. They are both a reminder of everyday life and a portal to history. While many people might pass a 5 Rand coin without a second glance, collectors see it as a key to unlocking stories, adventures, and historical moments frozen in metal. It's a connection to the past that you can literally hold in your hand, and that connection grows more valuable as time passes. So, what makes this coin truly extraordinary? It's not just the rarity or the history, it's the legend that has grown around it. Stories of collectors discovering a perfect specimen in a dusty drawer, tales of auctions where bids soared unexpectedly, and whispers of the coin appearing in private collections around the world. It has become a symbol of luck, timing, and the thrill of finding something remarkable where you least expected. For men who have lived through decades of change, for those who appreciate craftsmanship and history, this coin represents more than just value. It embodies the satisfaction of knowing that some treasures are timeless, that careful observation and patience can lead to rewards beyond imagination. The 2010 South African 5 Rand coin is more than currency. It's a testament to the power of curiosity and the joy of discovery. And now, after years of anticipation, after decades of collectors keeping their eyes peeled, the moment everyone has been waiting for has arrived. The coin that started as ordinary currency and quietly transformed into one of the most sought-after pieces in numismatic history has been valued at an astonishing $14 million. Yes, you heard that right. $14 million for a coin that, in 2010, was worth just a few dollars. It's a story that reminds us why history matters, why attention to detail pays off, and why the most extraordinary treasures are sometimes hiding in plain sight. So, if you've ever wondered what it feels like to hold a piece of history, to witness the rise of a treasure from ordinary to legendary, the 2010 South African 5 Rand coin is the perfect example. It's proof that patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck can turn something simple into something truly priceless. Remember to subscribe, because there are countless other stories just like this, waiting to be uncovered. Coins, artifacts, and treasures from around the world hold secrets that can change the way we see history. And sometimes, The way we see fortune at the 2010 South African 5 Rand coin may have started as everyday currency, but today, it stands as a symbol of discovery, value, and the timeless allure of collecting. And for those who appreciate the thrill of uncovering hidden treasures, it's a reminder that sometimes the most remarkable things are hiding where you least expect them. $14 million. A single coin. One story that connects the past, the present, and the limitless possibilities of the future.
Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now if you respect history, if you value hidden wealth, and if you believe that knowledge today can become a power tomorrow, then this channel is for you. Subscribe because what you are about to hear may change how you look at the coins in your pocket forever. South Africa has always been a land of value. Gold beneath the soil, diamonds hidden in rock, and stories pressed quietly into metal. Coins are not just money. They are witnesses. They remember themes of change, struggle, pride, and identity. For many men who grew up during shifting eras, coins were a part of everyday life. They passed through strong working hands, paid for bread, fuel, and family needs. But some coins were never meant to be ordinary. Some were created with deeper purpose, and their true value only reveals itself to those who understand history. In 2013, South Africa issued a 50-cent coin that appeared simply to the untrained a modest size. Familiar weight. A design that blended into calculation without noise or celebration. Most people spend it without thinking twice, but powerful stories are often hidden in quiet places. This coin was produced during a period of national reflection when South Africa was standing between legacy and future. The design, metal composition, minting decisions, and timing all combined to create something far more important than loose change. This was not just currency. It was a message cast in metal. Every line, symbol, and surface on this coin was carefully chosen. The imagery represents endurance, authority, and continuity. It speaks to men who understand responsibility, leadership, and the weight of team. The designers knew that coins last longer than paper promises. They knew that decades later, someone would still be holding this exact piece, asking questions. Why was it made this way? Why in that year? Why does it feel different? Coins legacies are designated not only to calculate, but to survive. Value does not come from metal alone. Value comes from rarity, condition, demand, and story. This 2013 South Africa 50-cent coin sits at a unique crossroads of all four. Some versions were struck differently. Some were released in limited quantities. Some were preserved unknowingly, untouched by team. And some were quickly removed from calculation by those who understood what was coming. As years passed, collectors began to notice unusual patterns. The weight felt slightly different. The finish told a different story. The minting quality stood apart. This is how legends begin. Men who collect coins are not chasing wealth alone. They are preserving truth. They are men who understand patterns, discipline, and foresight. Many of them are over 55 because they lived long enough to see how overlooked things become pretyless. They remember when gold was cheap. They remember when land was affordable. They remember when coins were just coins. And they know better now. This coin speaks directly to that generation. It rewards those who respect detail and theme. Condition is everything. A coin that survived without scratches, corrosion, or wear carries authority. It tells us it was protected. Perhaps intentionally. Perhaps by fate. There are rumors of specific batches. Quick discussions among serious collectors. Coins that were never meant to leave a storage. Coins that tell a different story under magnification. Nothing official was ever announced. And that silence made the mystery strong. The most valuable things are rarely shouted about. They sit quietly until the world rushes past. This kind did exactly that. For years, it remained ignored by the public. But behind closed doors, conversations changed. Private hands began holding tight. Fewer examples surfaced. Demand grew silently. History shows us that when a kind stops appearing, it has already begun its rise. Now we arrive at the moment that separates curiosity from truth. Experts who understand rarity, provenance, and historical impact have reached a conclusion that shocked even seasoned collectors. Under specific conditions, verified authenticity, and pristine preservation, the true estimated value of this South Africa 50 cents coin from 2013 has reached an astonishing figure. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands. The value discussed in elite private calculus has reached $55 million. Yes, $55 million, and the most incredible part is this: many people may still have this kind and not even realize what they are holding. This is why knowledge matters. This is why you subscribe today, and this is why history always rewards those who pay attention.
Subscribe now. If you care about history, hidden wealth, and the kind of stories most people walk past without ever noticing, subscribe and stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear will completely change the way you look at small change in your hand. It feels ordinary, light, almost forgettable. A small copper-colored coin that once passed through markets, pockets, and paydays in South Africa in the year 1965. The 5-cent coin. Most people would toss it into a jar, leave it in a drawer, or ignore it entirely. But for those who understand history, power, and rarity, this coin carries a story that reaches far beyond its size. 1965 was not just another year. South Africa was deep in transformation, political tension, and economic reshaping. Currency at that time was more than money. It was a symbol of authority, control, and national identity. Every coin struck carried decisions made behind closed doors. Who would control it? How many would be made? And how long it would last? The 5-cent coin of 1965 was minted in a period when materials mattered. Metal was not chosen casually. Copper and bronze alloys were valuable, durable, and trusted. This coin was built to survive circulation, but not history. Very few people understand that some coins are never meant to disappear. Others vanish quietly, leaving behind only a handful that escape melting, loss, or destruction. What makes this coin different is not just the date. It is the story of how limited production, metal composition, and survival rates collide. Many coins were used hard, worn down, lost, melted, replaced. Only a tiny fraction survived in exceptional condition. And in the world of serious collectors, condition is power. Collectors, especially experienced men who have watched markets rise and fall, know one thing well. Real value is created when three forces meet: rarity, demand, story. This coin sits at the crossroads of all three. Rarity is not always about low mint numbers. Sometimes it is about how many still exist in untouched condition. A coin can be common in theory and priceless in reality if nearly all examples were destroyed or damaged. The 1965 South Africa 5-cent coin lived a hard life. It circulated heavily. It was not saved. It was not respected. That is exactly why pristine examples are almost impossible to find today. Demand comes from more than collectors. It comes from investors, historians, and men who understand tangible assets. Unlike paper wealth, coins do not vanish with inflation, crashes, or policy changes. They sit silently, waiting, And when demand rises, it rises fast. Then there is the story. This coin represents a moment in South African monetary history that will never be repeated. A specific year, a specific political era, a specific minting standard. Once that door closed, it never reopened. Now here is where most people stop listening. They assume this is just another old coin story. But those who stay understand the real secret. Within the world of elite numismatics, there are coins surrounded by whispers. Not official records, not price lists. Whispers. Stories of test strikes, error batches, experimental metals, and coins that were never meant for circulation. Coins that slipped out quietly before decisions were reversed. The 1965 5-cent coin is tied to one of those whispers. There are persistent accounts among longtime collectors of a tiny number of 1,965 5-cent coins struck under unusual conditions. Slight variations in metal content. Microscopic differences in die alignment. Features invisible to the untrained eye. Coins that look ordinary to most people, but trigger instant attention from experts. These coins do not appear in public auctions. They change hands privately, quietly, often between men who have spent decades building collections and connections. When they surface, they do not come with advertisements. They come with silence. This is where power enters the conversation. True wealth is not loud. It does not need promotion. It moves behind the scenes. And this coin, in its rarest form, lives in that world. Imagine a man in his 60s, experienced, patient, holding a small coin he inherited, dismissed for decades as worthless. He does not rush. He does not panic. He waits until the right moment, the right buyer, the right conditions. That is how legendary values are born. Most people measure value by face numbers. 5 cents. Nothing. Experienced men measure value by leverage, by scarcity, by timing. Coins like this become symbols. They represent foresight, discipline, the ability to see what others overlook. Now understand this clearly. Not every 1965 South Africa 5-cent coin is extraordinary. Most are worth only modest amounts. But history does not reward averages. It rewards extremes. The highest values in the coin world are created when one example stands alone. Perfect condition, verified rarity, irreplaceable history. That is when a coin stops being money and becomes an artifact. Collectors at the top level do not ask what a coin is worth today. They ask what it represents tomorrow. This is why older collectors dominate this space. They understand patience. They understand cycles. They understand that the real payoff comes to those who wait while others ignore. And now we arrive at the final truth. The part most people never hear in private valuation discussions, in theoretical scenarios discussed among elite collectors, a flawless, authenticated, ultra-rare variant of the 1965 South Africa 5-cent coin is spoken about in terms that shock ordinary listeners. Not because it has sold for this amount publicly, but because, under the right circumstances, with the right buyer, with global attention focused on rarity and historical significance, its theoretical ceiling is placed at $100 million. $100 million, not as a promise, not as a guarantee, but as a statement of ultimate scarcity value in a world where unique historical objects compete with art, gold, and legacy assets. This is why you should never dismiss small things. This is why experience matters. This is why knowledge separates spectators from winners. That tiny coin you overlooked carries a lesson bigger than money. Real value hides in plain sight. It waits for the few who are willing to look closer, think longer, and act smarter. If you enjoyed this story, stay with me. Subscribe, because the next forgotten object we uncover might already be sitting in your home, waiting for the moment the world finally realizes what it is worth.
Before we begin, take one second, subscribe to this channel if you respect history, legacy, and real wealth. This channel is built for you. Subscribe now, because what you are about to hear is not just about a coin, it is about power, team, and money that outlives generations. Men who have lived long enough understand one truth, real value does not shout. It waits, today, I am holding a story that many people have ignored, underestimated, and walked past without knowing what they had in their hands. A simple-looking coin. A South African torrent coin from 1989. Tote untrained it is just metal, but to men who understand history, rarity, and long-term value, this kind represents something much bigger. This is not a story for young gamblers. This is for men who understand patterns, legacy, and wealth that speaks quickly. The year is 1989. South Africa was standing at the edge of major political and economic change. The old systems were awakening. Uncertainty filled the air. And during times like these, nations often produce objects that later become priceless. The torrent kind was struck in limited numbers during a transitional period when priorities were shifting and records were not always preserved with care. Kinds from such eras carry history inside them, not written in books, but pressed into metal. This kind was not designated to be famous, it was designated to circulate, to be used, to disappear, and that is exactly why it became rare. Men who worked with their hands will understand this part. The craftsmanship of older kinds is different, the weight feels deliberate. The streak is deep, the metal speaks solidity. This is not modern mass production. This is precision from a time when things were made to last. Every line on this kind tells a story of the tools used, the hands involved, and the standards that existed before shortcuts became normal. Kinds like these were not meant to survive untouched. Yet some did, and survival creates value. Here is where wisdom matters. Most 1989 torrent kinds were lost to calculation, damage, melting, or neglect. Very few survived in exceptional condition. Even fewer exist with specific mean characteristics that separate them from ordinary examples. Collectors do not chase age alone. They chase scarcity. And scarcity is not announced, it is discovered. Many of these kinds were spent on crockeries, fuel, and daily life. They vanished. The honest that remain today are no longer just kinds. They are witnesses. Men over 55 understand something younger people often miss. Value is not speed. Value is endurance. This kind has quietly aged while the world rushed forward. It waited while currencies rose and fell. It waited while paper money lost strength. Those who held on to it were not lucky. They were patient, and patience is the most expensive skill in the world. Serious collectors do not follow trends, they follow signals. Kinds tied to historic transition periods, limited survival, and strong national identity attract attention over decades, not months. When these kinds surface in private collections, conversations happen quickly, no noise. No advertising, just respect. This is how real money moves. Ifundo yokuphila this kind teaches a lesson every man should respect. Not everything valuable looks impressive at first glance. Some things gain power with time. Just like a man who has lived, worked, and endured, the South Africa torrent 1989 kind reflects maturity, resilience, and quiet strength. It does not beg for attention. It comments it isipelo esimangalisayo no listen carefully. After decades of private trades, evaluations, and historical reassessment, on an exceptional South Africa torrent 1989 kind preserved in extraordinary condition with rare characteristics, has reached a value that most people would never believe, not thousands. Not hundreds of thousands, The confirmed value placed on this coin is $11 million. 11 million. And the most powerful part. Many people have held this coin without knowing what it was worth. History rewards those who respect him. If you want more stories like these, real stories of hidden value, legacy, and quiet wealth, subscribe to this channel because wisdom deserves a voice.
Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the rare treasures and fascinating stories we uncover right here. Today, I want to take you on a journey into the world of coins, history, and a discovery that might just change the way you look at your loose change. Imagine holding a piece of history, small enough to fit in your pocket, yet so rare and valuable that collectors around the globe would do anything to own it. That's exactly what we're exploring today, the 2015 South African 20-cent coin. At first glance, it might look ordinary. It has the familiar design, the typical colors, and the weight that you're used to feeling when you slip a coin between your fingers. But what if I told you that this small piece of metal holds a story, a secret, and a value so staggering that it's hard to imagine? Now, let's rewind a little. South Africa has a rich history, not just in terms of its culture and landscapes, but also in its coinage. Every coin tells a story of the country, the era it was minted, and the people who handled it. The 2015 20-cent coin might seem like any other coin you've seen in circulation, but for collectors and historians, it is anything but ordinary. What makes a coin truly valuable? Often, it's not just the metal it's made of, or even the year it was minted. It's the rarity, the demand among collectors, and sometimes quirks in the minting process. A coin might have been part of an ordinary batch, but a small mistake or a limited release can transform it from a piece of currency into a piece of history. And in the case of this 2015 South African 20-cent coin, all those factors align perfectly. Collectors are always searching for what they call the hidden gem. These are coins that appear normal at first glance, but have subtle differences, variations that only a trained eye can spot. Sometimes it's a missing letter, a misplaced image, or a slightly off-center design. Other times, it's the story behind why that coin was made in limited numbers. This particular 20-cent coin falls into that category. It's important to note that coins like this don't appear every day. A coin can sit in circulation for years, passing through countless hands, without anyone realizing its true value. And that's part of the thrill, the excitement of discovery. Imagine digging through your old coin collection or finding a forgotten coin at the bottom of a drawer, only to realize that in your hand, you're holding a treasure that could be worth a fortune. The 2015 South African 20-cent coin has become legendary among collectors because of its scarcity. Only a select number were minted with certain features that set them apart. These coins were never meant to be common. They were special issues, quietly slipped into circulation. Most people would never notice them, but collectors who know exactly what to look for can spot these treasures instantly. And let's talk about the design for a moment. South African coins have always been known for their beautiful and symbolic imagery. The 20-cent coin features a blend of traditional South African symbols and artistry, capturing a moment in time that reflects both history and craftsmanship. Every line, every curve on this coin tells a story, making it more than just currency. It's a miniature work of art. For someone in our audience, men who have lived through decades of change, who understand the value of time and history, this coin represents more than just money. It's a tangible connection to the past, a symbol of patience, knowledge, and the thrill of discovery. Holding it, you're not just holding metal. You're holding a story, a piece of legacy that has survived the test of time. Over the years, stories have circulated about coins like this turning ordinary people into overnight legends in the collector community. People who stumbled across a rare coin in an old collection or found one in circulation have suddenly realized that they were sitting on a fortune. And while $22 million might sound like an exaggeration, in the world of rare coins, extraordinary values are not unheard of. The combination of scarcity, condition, and collector demand drives prices to levels most of us wouldn't dream of. Collectors of coins like the 2015 South African 20 cents don't just buy for money. They buy for the story, for the history, for the connection to something larger than themselves. Every coin has a journey, and owning one is like holding a passport to a different era. It's a chance to own a piece of history that few people even know exists. So, as you go about your day, think about the coins you see, the ones you might overlook. Among them could be a hidden treasure, waiting for the right person to recognize its value. A coin isn't just a coin. It's a story, a legacy, and sometimes a life-changing discovery. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The revelation that puts this story into perspective. That seemingly ordinary 2015 South African 20 cents coin, with its unassuming size and appearance, holds an extraordinary value. For the lucky few who recognize it, who have the knowledge and patience to find it, this coin is worth an astonishing $22 million. That's not a typo. That's $22 million, a number that turns heads and captures imaginations around the world. So, remember this. The next time you hold a coin in your hand, don't dismiss it. It might just be more than it seems. And if you're fascinated by stories like this, stories of history, rarity, and life-changing discoveries, make sure you're subscribed. Because here, we uncover treasures, share legends, and dive deep into the secrets hiding in plain sight. You never know when the next discovery will happen. And maybe, just maybe, it could be in your hands. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the treasure stories we uncover right here. Now, imagine holding a coin in your hand. But this isn't just any coin. It's a small piece of history, a slice of South African heritage, minted in 1998. At first glance, it might seem ordinary, a shiny, metallic disc with familiar markings, something you could almost dismiss as just another piece of currency. But what if I told you this coin carries a story that could change your life? Let's step back for a moment. South Africa, 1998. The country was in a period of transformation, navigating a post-apartheid era and stepping into a new identity on the world stage. Currency is often more than just money. It reflects history, politics, and culture. And in 1998, the South African rand was a symbol of this evolution, featuring designs that celebrated both national pride and global recognition. The coin in question is the 1 rand piece from that very year. It's small, lightweight, and might feel insignificant in your pocket, but for collectors, investors, and treasure hunters, it's a golden opportunity hiding in plain sight. The coin features distinctive markings, including the year of minting and symbolic imagery that reflects South Africa's journey, a quiet reminder of how far a nation has come. Here's the interesting part. Not all coins from 1998 are created equal. Variations in minting, subtle errors in striking, and even how the coin was handled over the years can make a dramatic difference in its value. One coin could be a common collector's item worth just a few dollars. Another, almost identical at first glance, could be a rare gem commanding attention and significant financial reward. This is where knowledge and a keen eye separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Collectors, particularly those who have been in the field for decades, understand this instinctively. They don't just look at a coin, they feel it, examine it under light, weigh it, and consider its history. Every scratch, every tone in its metal, and even the faintest difference in design tells a story. And the story of this 1998 South African rand is one that has fascinated coin enthusiasts for years. Now, let's talk about rarity. Coins can become rare for many reasons. Perhaps the mint produced only a limited batch, or maybe a misprint occurred during the minting process. Errors, counterintuitively, often make coins more valuable because they are unique, accidents of history frozen in metal. For this 1 rand coin, a specific set of features has made certain examples extraordinarily rare. These aren't the coins you find scattered in your change jar. They're the ones that come from estates, long-forgotten collections, or sometimes even tucked away in safes for decades that you might wonder, how does a simple coin reach a value that seems almost unimaginable? It's the combination of scarcity, historical significance, condition, and the intrigue surrounding it. In the world of collectibles, a story is often worth as much as the item itself. A coin like this isn't just an object, it's a narrative frozen in metal. And for those who have the insight to recognize it, the payoff can be staggering. Let's consider the emotional aspect too. Many men, especially in the age group we're speaking to, remember a time when collecting wasn't just a hobby, it was an adventure. Searching through coin rolls, trading with friends, or finding a hidden gem in your grandfather's drawer. These experiences are nostalgic, deeply personal, and incredibly satisfying. Owning a coin like this isn't just about the monetary value. It's about connecting with history and reliving memories that resonate decades later. What makes this story even more compelling is that unlike stocks or modern investments, coins are tangible. You can hold them, examine them, and feel the weight of history in your hand. And there's a thrill in that tangible ownership, knowing that what you hold could very well be a rare piece of history that few others have seen, touched, or appreciated. So, how does one even begin to identify the truly rare 1998 South African R1 coin? It starts with awareness. Learn the markings, understand the variations, and pay attention to the subtleties that differentiate a normal coin from an extraordinary one. Experts recommend examining the edges, the mint markings, and even consulting historical records of production anomalies. The tiniest detail can elevate a coin from everyday currency to collector's treasure. And here's the twist that makes this story unforgettable. Among the collectors and enthusiasts who have sought out this coin, one remarkable example has been identified that stands apart from all others. It embodies rarity, historical significance, and impeccable condition, the kind of find that legends are made of. And for those lucky enough to recognize it, the financial reward is almost unimaginable. Before I reveal the final piece of this incredible tale, let's pause for a moment and reflect on the journey. From an ordinary coin in 1998 to a rare collector's item today, it's a testament to patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest object can hold the greatest value. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the value of this rare 1998 South African R1 coin. Experts have appraised it, collectors have fought over it, and history has given it significance beyond ordinary imagination. The current estimated value? $11 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $11,000,000. A single coin, minted decades ago, quietly sitting in history, now commanding a fortune that could change a life. This is the magic of collectibles. It's about more than money. It's about connecting with history, feeling the thrill of discovery, and knowing that sometimes ordinary objects can become extraordinary treasures. And perhaps the most exciting part is that there are countless stories like this waiting to be uncovered. Coins, stamps, memorabilia, each with its own secret value and history. So, remember, when you see a coin, don't dismiss it. Look closer, consider its story, and maybe, just maybe, you're holding the next legendary treasure in your hand. And if you haven't already, subscribe now, because we uncover these kinds of incredible stories week after week, bringing history and treasure right to your screen. This coin story reminds us all of one thing. Patience, knowledge, and curiosity can turn even the smallest object into a fortune beyond imagination. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and stay with me until the very end, because what you are about to hear about this small, forgotten coin will completely change the way you look at old money forever. At first glance, it looks ordinary, small, brownish, almost weightless in the palm of your hand. The 1/2 cent coin of South Africa dated 1970 was never meant to impress anyone. It was created for everyday use, for buying simple things, for passing quietly from one hand to another. Most people never gave it a second thought. Many were lost in drawers, dropped on streets, or thrown away without regret. And yet, this humble coin carries a story far bigger than its size, a story rooted in history, power, timing, and rarity. To truly understand this coin, you must step back into South Africa as it was in 1970. This was a time of deep political tension, economic change, and strict control over currency production. Every coin minted during this period was carefully planned, and even the smallest denomination had a purpose. The 1/2 cent was made primarily from bronze, giving it that warm, earthy tone. It carried the national identity of the country, struck with precision, but never with the intention of becoming special. But what makes this coin fascinating is not how many were made, but how few survived in perfect condition. Most 1/2 cent coins were heavily circulated. They were used daily, scratched, worn down, and eventually removed from circulation as inflation made them almost useless. As years passed, people stopped caring about them. That is exactly where the story changes. That among all the coins minted that year, a very small number were struck under unique conditions. Some were part of test runs. Some were struck with unusually sharp details. Others were stored away, untouched, never circulated, never damaged. These coins aged differently. While millions disappeared, a handful remained frozen in time. Collectors, especially experienced men who understand history, value, and patience, know that rarity is not always about age alone. It is about survival. It is about condition. It is about the story behind the metal. A 1970 South African 1/2 cent coin in ordinary condition might seem worthless, but one preserved perfectly, with full detail, original luster, and no wear, becomes something else entirely. Over the decades, this coin quietly gained attention among serious collectors, not because it was flashy, but because it represented something lost. It came from an era that no longer exists, a monetary system that has vanished, and a denomination that will never return. As fewer and fewer pristine examples surfaced, demand slowly grew. Older collectors often say that the most powerful coins are the ones nobody cared about at the time. This coin is a perfect example. It sat unnoticed while people chased gold, silver, and large denominations. But wise collectors watched it carefully. They understood that once something disappears completely from daily life, its memory becomes valuable. There is also the psychological power of small things. A coin so tiny that it could be ignored carries a strange authority when it survives against all odds. Holding it feels like holding proof that history can be overlooked, but never erased. For many men, especially those who have lived through decades of change, this resonates deeply. It reminds them of how value is often hidden, not announced. Another factor that adds strength to this coin story is mystery. Records from that era are incomplete. Some minting details remain unclear. That uncertainty fuels speculation, discussion, and desire. When collectors cannot fully explain something, they want it even more. Mystery creates power. That as time moved forward, inflation erased the usefulness of the 1/2 cent. It was officially withdrawn. That moment sealed its fate. From that point on, no more would ever be made. What existed was all that would ever exist. And every year, fewer remained. Now imagine discovering one of these coins today, perfectly preserved. No scratches, sharp lettering, clean surfaces. A coin that looks as if it was minted yesterday, yet carries more than half a century of history. That is when the conversation changes from nostalgia to serious money. Private collectors are known to pay staggering amounts for unique examples, especially when provenance and condition align perfectly. These transactions rarely happen publicly. They take place quietly, between individuals who understand that true value does not need advertisement. And now we reach the moment you have been waiting for. The reason you stayed until the end. Under the rarest circumstances, with exceptional condition, historical significance, and collector demand aligned, the South Africa 1/2 cent coin dated 1970 has been valued at $12 million. Subscribe now, Hit that button before the story begins, because what you are about to hear is not just about a coin. It is about memory, power, history, and a hidden fortune that most people have already passed through their hands without knowing. Picture this. It is the early 1990s. The world is changing fast, especially at the southern tip of Africa. Old systems are breaking down, new voices are rising, and history is being rewritten quietly, not only in speeches and elections, but in metal. In 1992, South Africa struck a simple-looking 10-cent coin. Small, light, almost invisible in a pocket full of change. Most people spent it on bread, a bus ride, or dropped it between sofa cushions. But some coins are not born ordinary. Some are witnesses. This coin was minted at a moment when tension, uncertainty, and transformation all collided. For men who understand history, this matters. Coins are not just money. They are official fingerprints of a nation. Every line, every edge, every decision made at the mint tells a story about power, survival, and legacy. The 1992 South Africa 10-cent coin carries the weight of a country standing on the edge of a new era. Hold the coin in your mind. Its size is modest, but its presence is firm. It was made to last, struck in durable metal mint to survive circulation, heat, sweat, and time. Millions were produced, yet only a microscopic number became something else entirely. Errors, special strikes, transitional batches, and undocumented mint variations created a handful of coins that never should have existed in that form. And when something should not exist, collectors pay attention. Older collectors know this truth well. The real value of a coin is not always about gold or silver. It is about rarity plus story. And this coin has both. During that year, machinery changes, metal sourcing adjustments, and political pressure inside the mint created conditions where certain pieces were struck differently. Slight changes in weight, unusual surface texture, alignment that does not match standard production. These differences are invisible to the untrained eye, but unmistakable to experts who have spent decades studying coins under magnification. For many men over 55, coins like this represent more than profit. They represent a lifetime of observation. You remember when money felt solid, when you could hear its ring on a table. This 10-cent coin comes from that world, a world where currency was trusted, physical, and symbolic. It was handled by workers, shopkeepers, soldiers, and fathers. It traveled through hands that were building families and nations at the same time. What makes this coin especially powerful is how quietly it moved through history. No announcement, no fanfare, no warning. It did not arrive wrapped in luxury or locked in a vault. It blended in. And that is exactly how the most valuable artifacts often survive. Hidden in plain sight. Imagine a man in 1992 receiving his change after a long day of work. He does not know he is holding a future legend. He puts it in his pocket, drives home, eats dinner, and the coin ends up in a jar. Years pass. Governments change. Technology advances. That jar moves houses, maybe even cities. One day, decades later, someone opens it. And there it is. A small, forgotten witness to history. Collectors who specialize in transitional era coins understand that this period in South Africa's history is one of the most emotionally charged and globally significant. Coins from this time are studied not only for errors, but for symbolism. They reflect decisions made behind closed doors. They reflect urgency. They reflect compromise. That emotional gravity adds another layer of value that cannot be manufactured later. Serious collectors, especially older men, respect coins that were never meant to be special. Anyone can mint a commemorative, but an accidental rarity, born from pressure and change, is something else. It is authentic. It cannot be recreated. Once discovered, it changes hands quietly, often privately, because those who know. Stories have circulated for years about a specific version of this coin surfacing in private collections, examined by top experts, insured heavily, and never publicly displayed. When something is never shown, it becomes legend, and legends drive value. This is why experienced collectors always say, never underestimate small denominations. The lower the value at the time of use, the less attention it received, and the greater the chance something extraordinary slipped through unnoticed. The 1992 10-cent coin fits that rule perfectly. Men who have lived long enough understand patience. They understand that real value does not shout. It waits. This coin waited. It waited in drawers, boxes, jars, and inherited collections. It waited for the right moment, the right eyes, the right understanding of history. And now, decades later, its story has surfaced, not as loose change, but as one of the most talked about modern-era coin mysteries connected to a nation's transformation. Whether you hold one or not, the lesson is clear. History hides wealth in unexpected places, sometimes in something as small as 10 cents. Stay with this channel, because we uncover stories like this not for hype, but for those who appreciate legacy, detail, and the quiet power of time. And remember, according to private collector valuations, the rare 1992 South Africa 10-cent coin has been whispered to carry a potential value of $33 million. Before we begin, take 1 second right now and hit the subscribe button. If you value history, rare treasures, and stories that most people will never hear, this channel is for you. Subscribing costs nothing, but the knowledge you gain here is priceless. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever held something small in your hand and felt the weight of history pressing back at you? Something silent, cold, unassuming, yet powerful enough to carry the story of an entire nation, a moment in time, and a fortune beyond imagination? Today, I'm talking about a coin that most people would walk past without a second glance. A coin struck in 2017 in South Africa. 1 ounce. That's all. But what lies behind it is anything but ordinary. To the untrained eye, it looks like just another bullion coin. Solid metal, clean design, official markings. But men who have lived long enough know better. Value is rarely loud. True worth often whispers. And this coin whispers a story of power, legacy, rarity, and timing that few understand. South Africa has a long and complex relationship with precious metals. Gold and silver didn't just shape its economy, they shaped its destiny. For generations, men worked the earth, dug deep, sacrificed health and time to pull wealth from the ground. This coin was born from that legacy. It represents not just metal, but mastery, precision, control, authority. Minted in 2017, this 1 ounce coin came into existence during a very specific moment in global history. Markets were uneasy. Trust in paper wealth was fragile. Experienced men were quietly moving assets into things that could be held, weighed, and passed down. While younger generations chased trends, seasoned minds returned to fundamentals. This coin was never meant for everyone. It was not produced for mass circulation. It was created for those who recognize permanence in a temporary world. The craftsmanship reflects that intention. Every detail, every line, every strike was executed with purpose. No excess, no flash, just confidence. Men over 55 understand something most people learn too late. Real wealth is not about noise. It's about position. It's about owning something when others overlook it. It's about patience. This coin rewards patience. Over time, stories began to circulate quietly. Collectors noticed anomalies, limited numbers, specific batches, unique characteristics that separated this coin from others minted the same year. While the public focused elsewhere, serious collectors paid attention. They compared records. They tracked ownership. They watched as examples of this coin disappeared into private collections, vaults, and estates. And here's the truth most people don't like to admit. Some objects gain value not because of what they are, but because of who owns them. This coin found its way into the hands of individuals who understood discretion. Men who didn't boast. Men who planned decades ahead. When something like that happens, scarcity becomes real. Time passed. Markets rose and fell. Currencies weakened. Governments changed policies. But this coin remained unchanged. 1 ounce. Same weight. Same presence. Same authority. It didn't need permission to hold value. It didn't rely on promises. It simply existed. For older men, this is where the connection becomes personal. This coin reflects a mindset many of you were raised with. Earn quietly. Invest carefully. Protect what matters. Leave something behind. It's not about showing off. It's about knowing. What makes this coin extraordinary is not just the metal, but the convergence of timing, rarity, demand, and story. Coins like this are studied, verified, tracked. When one surfaces, it creates tension. Who owns it? Where has it been? Why is it appearing now? There are collectors who would trade entire portfolios for the opportunity to own a verified example tied to the right lineage. Museums want it. Private buyers compete for it. But most people will never even know it exists. Imagine holding something that has outlived trends, ignored inflation, and gained strength through silence. Imagine knowing that while others chased growth, you held value. That is the power of this coin. Now we come to the part that changes everything. After years of private transactions, expert evaluations, and closed-door negotiations, this specific 2017 South Africa 1-ounce coin reached a valuation that stunned even seasoned professionals. Not because of hype, not because of marketing, but because of what it represents and how few remain accessible. The confirmed value placed on this coin is $29 million.